Well, my name is Julie. I'm the program director at Teen Esteem, and I am so excited to have Joe Ianora with us today. So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. So thanks for having me. Background, I've been in education a very long time. Started in the late 80s, and so I have about 30 years plus experience, all levels, but primarily working with teenagers. Admin credential, licensed MFT, marriage and family therapist.
Well, we really appreciate that you're here with us today. So Joe, in our previous conversations, you mentioned your concerns about students and what they're going through right now. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So look, right now we are in unprecedented times, right? I mean, right now this change has been dramatic. And not all of us adapt well to change, right? That's sort of how our life works. We don't like change. And so what's happening particularly, and it's not just our students, right? Here's what I'm finding more often than not is typically when there's a change, it's usually one person or the other. A parent gets a new job, and so there's a change, or maybe it's a death in the family, or a divorce, something like that, where a parent has the primary change, or the student, for example, student is no longer in school. But right now what you're seeing is both parties, right? The entire family unit is being disrupted. And so what's happening is this is causing a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, a lot of fear, right? Because we are unstable, right? Our ground that we were once on, the routine that we once had is now shot, right? Now we're trying to scramble, right? Teachers are scrambling. How do I educate our kids? Parents are scrambling. How do I work? Or do I have work? Right? And the teens are trying to figure out, well, what about my friends? Of course, you know, teenagers, they're trapped in their house with their parents. That's their worst nightmare. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of, right? I mean, it's a lot of unsettling time right now.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, can you give us some hands-on information, some hands-on ideas that we can implement to help support our students during this time, other than the ones we're hearing all the time? We know the basics: get out and exercise,
Mhm.
a new project, bake together, have dinners, which
Mhm.
is all great, but we're kind of
Yeah.
all hearing that quite a bit.
Right, but so really what we're talking about there is routine, right? The importance of routine and getting into a normalcy. So let's talk about that just for a minute, because that's what we were talking about just a little earlier, right? This
Right.
unsettling time, what we need to do is create a new level of normal, what that looks like for us, right? Because normal, for example, as a teenager, normal looks like I get up at a certain time. I'm usually at school from 8 to 3, and then I come home and maybe relax or have a snack and then do some homework. And then I go to bed somewhere between, 10 and 2 a.m. Maybe I have sports, maybe I have extracurricular. That's all gone. So that unsettling piece. So the things that, why routine is so important is it helps us become aware or create something new so we have that consistency. But specifically, right? One of the things we're talking about is helping each other. And this isn't just a teenage thing, right? This is an adult thing as well. But instead of saying things like, I'm afraid, or I'm anxious, or I'm nervous, is to really change that mindset just a little bit. So watch what happens. Instead of I'm scared, I'm nervous, it's I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling nervous. See, what this does is it changes and it labels what the emotion is. Instead of saying, this is who I am scared, I am anxious,
Uh,
it's labeling the feeling and allowing you are not anxious, you feel anxious, you feel scared, but you are a multitude of other things, right? You're productive, you're healthy, you have all of these different pieces going on. And so part of it is making that shift very small to labeling what the feeling is and identifying it. Then the second part to that is being curious about it, right? So instead of saying I am and then shifting to I am feeling, the third part is, why am I feeling anxious? Why am I feeling scared? Why am I feeling nervous? Why am I feeling happy? right? And so you can explore these things out of curiosity. Now you're taking it out of the amygdala, right? Out of that fear center, and you're bringing it forward into the prefrontal cortex, right? This is a little science
No,
lesson
I love it.
for
Yeah.
us, right? Because when we're in our amygdala, all we can think of is fight, flight, or freeze.
Mm-hmm.
That's not healthy. That's not productive. It's not good. And when you're scared, this is where we wind up. So, how do we get out of that part and back into our rational brain? Be curious, question, why am I feeling this way? And it's okay to explore these things, right? If you're a parent asking your child, hey, why do you think you're feeling anxious? Right? What do you think's going on? Allow them to be the Sherlock Holmes, right? Allow them to be the detective. Uh, here's why. Here's what I'm thinking. Right? So now you're exploring those issues and putting them into a context instead of it just being, I'm frightened. I'm scared. I'm overwhelmed. Right. So now we're codifying it. We're placing it somewhere where then I can go about the rest of my day. Oh, yeah, I was feeling anxious, but now mom and I are going to bake a pie together, or whatever that is, right? So you move out of that realm into, okay, that, yes, that's where I was, and I need to examine that, to moving on to other things. Hope that makes sense.
Right, right, right. No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really insightful. Another thing that you talked about regarding routine, which is really challenging right now. I mean, let's face it. Let's be real. It's really hard right now
Mm-hmm.
to get our children to want to be in a routine and to want to get up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you mentioned is if they get up at 10 o'clock, they realize that normally by 10 o'clock they've gotten up, gotten dressed, brushed their teeth, gone to school, taken
Yeah.
classes.
Right. So what we're talking about, and we have to be very careful, right? Because we are the best at being our own punching bag, right? And so part of this, and I can share my own story, right? Because this was my routine. I would get up every morning at 4:30, go to the gym, come back home, be at work by 7, work, come home, make dinner. Well, I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm getting up around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I go on a walk, and then I stretch, and then I meditate for a little bit. But then it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And sometimes I feel very guilty, right? Because by 9 or 10 o'clock, I will have already done, right? I've already exercised. I've already showered. I've already made breakfast. I've already, gone to the gym. I've already, been at work for a couple hours. I've seen students. So you have to shift that piece, like, oh my goodness, I'm not productive, right? Well, now I'm on a different schedule, and I have to be gentle with myself. Like, it's okay. It's okay that I'm not driven this same way, because time works differently now, and it's okay. Like, I meet with students at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, where I didn't used to do that before. So my day just takes a different shape, and it's okay. I've got one left at home, right? And he's a junior, and his rhythm has changed, right? He used to be up every day at 7 o'clock, sometimes at 5, because he does water polo. But now he has changed his rhythm. Now he gets up around 10, 11 o'clock, doesn't go to bed until 1 or 2. And at first it was like, what are you doing? You can't, you have to be up and ready. Then it was like, wait a sec, this is okay. It's okay that he's doing this routine, because it's helping him get into a rhythm. Here's what I do.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, that's important, to not beat ourselves up over the change in rhythm, right? Not feel guilty about it, not feel anxious.
Exactly. That guilt and give ourselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, give ourselves permission to do this differently. I have given myself permission to have my 24-hour day look different than it did 6 weeks ago,
Right, right.
and that's okay.
And it's kind of related to what you also talked about the other day. It's a little bit of an identity crisis for them.
Right, right. This is you're establishing, and this goes back to our earlier conversation about routine, right? We're establishing a new persona, right? I am no longer the counselor at Doherty Valley High School. I mean, I still am employed, but I don't do it the same way I did, right? I don't call kids out of class anymore and have them sit in my office and we have a conversation. Now we're texting, it's a phone call, it may be a Zoom meeting or Google Hangout, right? These are all different forms of what I do. And so that identity is changing, and that sometimes is really difficult, right? So this identity, like, who am I now that I'm not doing this thing anymore? I'm not going to the office, I'm not going to school for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours. And so a lot of times our identity needs to shift into something else.
Yeah, yeah. And then another thing I was thinking of, the missing the sports, not just missing being able to do it, but that's kind of can define who they are. They are a baseball player.
Yes, and this, right, I mean, really what we're talking about again is connecting, right? Academics is one thing, right? But school multiple things, but school provides two real opportunities. One is academics and learning. The other one is socialization, right? Those are the two primary targets of any school. And unfortunately, the academic portion has continued, but
Mhm.
sadly, due to our circumstances, the socialization part is gone. And
The fun
we
part, yeah.
are, right, I mean, we need connection. That's who we are as people. And so there is a bit of grief and loss that goes along with it. Like the identity, again, same thing, the identity.
So how can we talk to our kids about that, the identity issue?
Talk about the grief around that. Talk around the
Right.
loss around that, right? This is sad. It doesn't mean, right? Just like our feelings, like I am scared, I am water polo. Well, no, you're not. You are a person who does this activity, and it brings you joy and sometimes pain, but this isn't our reality right now, right? So what are other things that we can do? Sometimes sometimes it can be easy. Oh, I can substitute, no problem. I'm gonna pick up painting, I'm gonna pick up arts and crafts, I'm gonna pick.
Right.
But for some of us, that's not, like, I don't know how to play the guitar. I mean, so we have to find something. And so sometimes that discussion isn't, what are you going to do now? When are you going to get something else? You better get on it, because you're not exercising anymore, and that's bad, and you have to do, we got to, okay, what can we do? Would you like to go on a walk together? Can we fix the old bike that's in the garage we haven't used in 10 years? Is there something else that we could do together? Right? My son
Right.
and I are working on potentially getting a car, right, that we can fix up together. Okay, so this wouldn't be something that we would have normally done, because he would have been busy doing 12 other things, right? Sports and after school stuff and friends and homework. But now he's got time. And so we've explored doing something different, which
Right.
is the same thing. So really, it's identifying that, hey, you're no longer have these options. That doesn't mean you can't do anything. It means we need to find something else for us to do that will equally stimulate your curiosity, your intellectual passion,
Joy.
right, your joy, and maybe it's in your physicality,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I look at my neighbor who's out, with a chainsaw, right? It's just, okay, he can't go to the office, so he's done the next best thing. He's busy trimming up all his trees. Okay, well, maybe that's something that can be done. I mean, we have to explore these possibilities.
Right. So thank you. Thank you so much. Forward to seeing you in the fall, I hope.
Yes.